Recorded live.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Freedom Fighters for America World Radio at www.freedomfightersforamerica.us and freedomfightersforamerica.com. Tonight we're happy to announce House Representative Jim Guest will be on our show, and we will begin momentarily, so please stand by.
Unethical, not only by today's standards, but by the standards of the time in which they were conducted. They failed both the test of our national values and the test of humanity. The United States of America offers a sincere apology to those of our citizens who were subjected to these experiments, to their families, and to their communities. And the government that...
Well, I wanted to play that. It was a very short video from ex-President Clinton about some of the experiments that took place regarding MKUltra and Tuskegee and some of the other experiments. But getting on, we're very pleased and honored tonight to have House Republican Jim Guest to the show. Welcome to the show, Representative Guest.
Well, good evening, and it's a pleasure to be on your program, and I hope we can present a little information out there or help some of these victims that are being subjected to this harassment.
Well, we thank you very much for coming on, sir. You are absolutely a hero to a lot of targeted individuals, and most certainly an advocate for freedom and the Constitution and all the things that America really stands for. I know that you've been very active in attempting to protect citizens of this in this country of some of the acts that are being put forth on American citizens. I guess maybe the easiest way to do this is to perhaps ask you questions directly about certain issues that you've been handling and speaking about. First off, you've been a very staunch advocate of the Real ID Act. And can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, of opposing the Real ID Act.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I apologize. Excuse me. An opposition leader to the Real ID Act. How's that?
You're right. I think everybody knew what you meant. Yes, I'm serving my 8th year here in the Missouri legislature, and about, 4 or 5 years ago, I came across this bill passed. I think it was H.R. 418, and I was certainly impressed with Congressman Ron Paul had the courage to stand up against that on the House floor of the U.S. Congress. Of course, it's overwhelmingly voted in because it's part of another funding for our soldiers in Iraq. But then at that point, I thought, that is just heading towards control of the individuals here, subjecting us to identity theft and what have you. So I started working to oppose it, and I started a group called LARI, L-A-R-I, Legislators Against Real ID. And early on, I worked with representatives out of New Hampshire and Montana. Brady Weissman out of Montana was already doing some work on it. So we kind of coordinated our efforts, and I had a website set up there. And so I filed some legislation to oppose it here in Missouri. It spread from there, and I believe as of today, we have 14 states who have actually passed legislation. I talked to somebody a couple weeks ago in the state of Utah, and they felt confident that they would become the 15th state to actually put into their statute to reject it. Now, we've had many other states who have passed resolutions to oppose it. Those are non-binding. Mm-hmm. But I think because of this coordinated effort around the country, those in Washington realized that the Real ID Act is dead. They haven't repealed it yet, but I think they give the states 2 years to comply with it. And I'm not sure. I guess that was to save face that we've been able to nullify an outrageous act of Congress here. So.
Mm-hmm. Now, if the states don't comply, does that mean they get penalized in some kind of funding situation, or?
It's interesting you made that statement. Actually, I don't know of any funding statement. They tried to entice Missouri to become the hub of this by offering them, I think, I don't know, it's $20-some million, but that was nowhere near enough to be the hub for all the states to be able to contact to find this information out. So they were trying trying to entice us that way. As far as funding, I think the biggest scare was people were concerned that they would not be able to get on an airplane or enter some of our federal buildings. But I kept telling people, I said, if you think that they're going to blow up the airlines into stopping airline flights into Missouri or Montana or any other, they're not going to shut that down. And that proved to be true. Now, can the federal government bribe or keep states from doing this? I filed a bill here about 2 weeks ago in Missouri that will direct. I've just filed a bill. It's be going through the committee process to direct the Department of Revenue here to collect all of the federal taxes, and they put them in an escrow account. Mm-hmm. We hold them for 3 months, and then forward those on to the federal government. In the meantime, we'll collect the interest off of it.
Right.
Since we're kind of a 50-50 between the donor and the recipient state, if they do some mandate, unconstitutional directive, which the Real ID would have been one, and many others, by a vote of both houses in Missouri, we could direct the